Hi, my name's Ian Tully, founder of the Wales Electronic Producers Network, aka WEPN. I'm also sometimes Sunbane and very occasionally hardwareghost. Wales Electronic Producer Network is a not-profit organisation that aims to promote underground electronic producers in Wales. We do releases, we do compilations, we do gig nights, and we do networking evenings. I set Wales Electronic Producers Network up after getting back to Wales from Australia. I lived in Brisbane for 2 years, and when I lived in Brisbane, I really just got started with Ableton. And found a producers club out there and the local Ableton network, which was great and really sort of helped me get started. I played my first couple of gigs out there, started putting together music I actually liked the sound of finally. So I thought when I got back to Cardiff, I would find the Cardiff Ableton user group and plug in. So it turns out it didn't exist. So, be the change you want in the world and all that. I contacted Ableton and set up Cardiff Ableton Live user group. That ran for a year or two before, I decided that really having Ableton in the title was probably putting some people off, and we'd get more people involved if we just made it more general. So it became Cardiff Electronic Producer Network, and we rebranded to Wales Electronic Producer Network in line with my goal to conquer the entire world a few months ago. So WEPN started in 2015, and it started as a lot of things do with a Facebook page and a link on the Ableton website as it was an Ableton user group, and thought, well, let's hold a meeting and see what happens. So my friend Andy, who actually immediately after the first meeting emigrated to Australia himself, coincidentally, knew a guy who helped run road sports and social clubs. So they said, yeah, you can have a room there by the bar. And, okay, sounds great, and we're willing to host this for free, but a room by the bar literally was a room by the bar, so it was open to the rest of the bar. So it wasn't really ideal for playing loud music in. I think next we ended up at, I can't remember if it was still called The Social or Coco's. It's, that bar in Cathays, but it's always been there. And we said, yeah, you can have a room. I turned up on the night, and there was one guy running the place who seemed very stoned. Not that I've got any issue with that, but he had no idea we were coming. So it's like, we don't have a room, I don't think. Go set up on the pool tables. But again, suboptimal, really. So we sort of set up a couple of speakers on the pool table at the back of the room and had a really awkward meeting with about 4 people there. So, yeah, things weren't going great, but the Facebook group had, 50 or 60 members by it then, so I thought, well, there is some interest in this. Luckily, Phil Blake, aka Fifth Spear, came to the rescue. He was managing the Waterloo Gardens, Waterloo Tea House. So he said, well, yeah, I've spoken to my manager, you can come in after hours and set up there. So that was really good for a few months. He moved on after a little while, and we really got to the stage where we needed somewhere a bit more dedicated rather than a coffee shop or whatever. So we ended up at Catay's Community Centre for a bit, and that was good when they remembered to book us. So mostly, we had our own room and it was fine, and occasionally we'd be in the studio, and that was great because we could get some proper volume on. Occasionally, again, we turn up and they'd forgotten to put us in the diary. They're like, oh, well, it's okay, you can set up in the room over there. Don't worry, there's a taekwondo class going on in the background. So we set up on a table with the taekwondo class going on in the background, at which point I realised we probably needed a proper venue. So we ended up in Goody Who. They were great. So that's when it sort of started feeling a bit more proper, really. So we put on our first couple of gigs. The numbers started increasing, but sadly Goody Who went, and eventually we found the Moon, which has really been our home since then. We were able to host networking evenings now once every couple of months, gig nights once every couple of months. We maybe got a bit too cocky with that when they gave us the Saturday night slot. I really quite enjoyed booking abstract noise artists for 9 p.m. on Saturday. I'd usually try to close with something a bit more danceable, but I did quite enjoy seeing how weird we could get. Unfortunately, the bar tab didn't enjoy that as much. So we were told, like, well, we really like what you're doing, but, we have noticed there are fewer punters in the pub when you guys are playing. So I think we've ended up on a midweek slot, which suits us better, really, because it means we can do what we want. And, we still sort of manage to get people in on some nights as well. It's, we've had nights where it's literally just the people playing and their mates, and we've had nights where the place is full. And I've yet to work out exactly what it is different about those two nights. So the Welsh electronic scene is varied. There are little groups and little sort of interest groups and little gig nights and little club nights catering to pretty much any interest you could imagine. I was going to say I'm pushing 40, that's a lie. I am 40. So I'm maybe a little bit past the age of going out to drum and bass nights and that sort of thing the way I used to. But that sort of thing is still bubbling up all over the place, and always seeing posters up for up-and-coming DJs in bars I'm no longer cool enough to have heard of. So there's plenty of that going on. We managed to attract big artists to places like the Tramsheds. I think we had Daniel Avery a couple of years ago. We've got a couple of other groups doing similar things to what we're doing. I discovered when I first started doing this, there is a Welsh Modular Alliance group, which seems to be run out of the darkest recesses of West Wales, and they put compilations out occasionally of really great, really out there modular music. You can read anywhere proclamations about doom of nightlife and everything's falling apart and places are closing, but people who are interested in music, people who are interested in sort of getting involved, will always find their way to meet each other. And that's what we found with WEPN. So favourite moments of WEPN, probably a lot of it, oddly, hangs around lockdown and keeping things going during lockdown. It felt like we were building momentum going into that, and then suddenly the world disappeared on everybody. And that's actually how we ended up releasing compilations, because we had to think of ways to keep things going and keep the community together so that there was a scene to go back to at the end. So initially, back in those halcyon days when we thought lockdown was going to be 3 months and done, the Moon was, worried about cash before it was announced that the government was going to pay businesses to keep open. So we thought, well, we'll do a little fundraiser compilation. So we put out Product 1 Luna and raised, I think about £250, £300 then. Obviously, by the time Product 2 came out, we were still in lockdown. We did some work to raise money for a homeless charity in Wales then. After lockdown, probably my highlight was the first gig we put on after lockdown, because everybody had been inside going stir crazy. The atmosphere was great. The Moon was absolutely packed, and crucially, people kept handing me free things. People kept buying me drinks, and I kept drinking them. And I had realised maybe by the end of the night that it was something of a mistake to try and fit a 21-year-old's birthday party into a 38-year-old body, as it was at the time. But even sort of when I was back at home at about 1 a.m, feeling worse for wear in my bathroom, I was still like, well, okay, kind of worth it. That was a great night.
Am I free?
probably the things I'm proudest of is, I've had a few people come up to me at the gigs or at the networking nights and say things along the lines of, I got back into making music because of this community, because I came and found this and suddenly had an audience, had a community to relate to about it. I know a couple of people who have said that to me have sort of gone on to do degrees in things like music production. So it seems to have had a really positive impact on a couple of people's lives. And I suspect these people would have found their way to it anyway, but it's nice to have been involved in those journeys.
Traveling, still playing fast and loose to keep my head above water, returning to myself. To what is lost, waiting for someone. Where are you? Who are you? Hearts over mine, waiting for sunsets on fire. Castles made of sand, my foolish heart. Oh, you go to my head. What more can I say? Will I ever fall in love again? Castles made of sand, my foolish heart. Oh, you go to my head. What more can I say? And will I ever fall in love again?
Shadows take my hand, and mist is on the land.
Lying through a sea of summer stars. Will I ever fall in love again? Everyone should have a place to go to reconstruct a dream.
I guess advice to anyone looking to set up something similar is that I can only give advice to you if you don't want to earn money from it, because this has been non-profit all the way. We've never charged entry to the gigs. If you're looking to set up a business, I'm probably the wrong man to speak to. But if you're looking to do it, the biggest piece of advice is just fucking do it. Don't sit around and think about it. Actually say, okay, well, I'm going to set the Facebook page up. I'm going to, sort of open PowerPoint or whatever you use to do graphic design when you're starting out, and make a poster and put it up places, and people will notice. If you're doing something people want to be involved in, there's always going to be people out there looking for communities and looking for groups like this. So if you're thinking about doing it, the advice is to stop thinking about it and take the swing. What's the worst that can happen? At the start of April, we launched the 5th in our compilation series named Product 5, and it's Product 5_Comfort. As with all the other compilations, we've picked a charity to donate the money to, and it's Kidney Wales this time, at the request of one of our group members who sadly recently lost a very close friend to kidney disease. I think it is the strongest set of music we've had so far. There are some intimidatingly talented people now contributing to the group. And it touches almost every genre of electronic music you could hope for it to, ranging from straight up rave through to dub influenced grime, through to abstract aphex twin, warp adjacent glitch, through to sort of ambient soundscapes and experimental noise. It's all there. There's vocal work, there's a lot of instrumental work, most of it's instrumental. But if you're remotely interested in synthesized beats or just music in general, I'm sure you will find at least one track in there that's worth owning. And for £7, hey, you can't go wrong.
The machine taught itself how to speak. Itself how to speak to humans. We may look on our time as the moment civilization was transformed.
So in the coming months for WEPN, we have, following on from our launch of Product 5, we have another gig night in June, date to be confirmed. I would like to move towards being able to do a few more releases for artists as well. So single artist EPs and that sort of thing, and start functioning a little bit more as a label. But I'm also kind of conscious of the amount of time and effort that takes. So if I can find a way to fit it in with everything else I have going on, I will. I've also recently restarted the Cardiff Ableton Live user group. So I think a group sort of focused more on online resources and sort of demos of how to do different things, and possibly with occasional meetups and face-to-face sessions, because everyone likes being out there in the third dimension from time to time too. So that's just started. I've set that up and I'm going to be running that with Traherne Culver, who is also on the compilation. Artist name is Sound Warrior. He's completely blind and trying to find ways to use electronic music production software in an accessible way. So he's collaborating with a few people writing scripts for Ableton to help partially sighted and blind user base access it and be able to make music. find us on Facebook. It's where we started. It's not my favourite platform in the world, but it works for this sort of thing. So if you search for WEPN, Welsh Electronic Producers Network, you'll find us there. You don't need to be an expert at making music to come and get involved. You could have made your first 2 demos and want to play them to people for the first time. And yeah, I've been there. I remember when I was in Brisbane, sat there in the corner just trying to cringe myself into the size of a fucking pea pod while I played my music in front of a room full of experienced producers at the same time. And yeah, they were kind. They gave feedback. It wasn't all positive, but when it wasn't, it was at least constructive. And it's part of how you develop that confidence to get yourself out there and get your music out there. If you want to message me or message anyone else in the group and get involved and find out what we're like, yeah, we're a friendly, approachable bunch. We've never had any trouble at all. It's been absolutely wonderful and great and life-affirming for the last 9 going on 10 years. So come and get involved.